No. Welcome to the Philadelphia City Council's Committee on Streets and Services. I note that the hour has come. I note, I note the presence of Councilmember Rue Landau, who has been temporarily appointed to this committee by the Council President. Mr. Pullen, would you please call the roll to establish a quorum?
Councilmember Ahmad, Councilmember Bass, Councilmember Brooks, Councilmember Harity. I'm here. Vice Chair Squilla.
Present.
Chair Yan.
Here. And again, with the temporarily appointment of Councilmember Rue Landau, this committee is called to order. I know for the record that a quorum of this committee is now present. This is a public hearing of the Committee on Streets and Services considering testimony on bill numbers 241061 and 241063. Before we begin, do any of my colleagues have any opening remarks? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Pullen. Would you please read the title of the first bill?
Bill number 241061, titled Authorizing the Revision of Lines and Grades on a portion of City Plan numbers 383, 384, 385, and 386 by relocating portions of the house lines and curb lines of Southampton Road from the Roosevelt Boulevard to points northwestwardly therefrom, relocating portions of the easterly house line and the curb lines of Southampton Byberry Road from the Roosevelt Boulevard to points southeastwardly and southwardly therefrom, and relocating portions of the curb lines of the Roosevelt Boulevard from Southampton and Southampton Byberry Roads to the Philadelphia-Bucks County line, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Pullen, would you please call the first witness to testify on this bill?
The first witnesses to testify are Noel Marconi, Legislative Affairs Director for the Department of Streets, and Sarah Chu, Development Director for the City Planning Commission.
Good morning, Ms. Marconi and Ms. Chu. Please state your name for the record and begin with your testimony.
Good morning, Chairperson Young and members of the Streets and Services Committee. My name is Noel Marconi, and I'm the Director of Legislative Affairs for the Department of Streets. I'm here today to offer testimony on Bill number 241061, introduced by Councilmember O'Neill. This is not an administration ordinance, but an ordinance requested by Hercules Gringos, Esquire of Claire Harrison Harvey Brandsburg, LLP, representing Byberry North Owner, LLC. The proposed ordinance will authorize the relocation of portions of the house lines and curb lines of Southampton Road from the Roosevelt Boulevard to a point approximately 612 feet northwesterly therefrom, the relocation of portions of the easterly house line and the curb lines of Southampton Byberry Road from the Roosevelt Boulevard to a point approximately 792 feet southeastwardly and southwesterly therefrom, and the relocation of portions of the curb lines of the Roosevelt Boulevard from Southampton and Southampton Byberry Roads to the Philadelphia-Bucks County line. These actions will improve traffic flow through the area and enhance access to an industrial warehouse facility being developed by 15,000 East Roosevelt Boulevard. The Department of Streets has no objections to this proposed ordinance and recommends it to the committee for favorable action. Thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Marconi. Ms. Chu, please proceed your testimony.
Good morning, Chair Member Young and members on the Streets and Services Committee. I'm Sarah Chu, City Planner with the Philadelphia City Planning Commission. I'm here to testify on Bill number 241061, introduced by Councilmember O'Neill on November 14th, 2024. This bill will relocate the house line and curb lines of Southampton Road near its intersection with Roosevelt Boulevard and relocate the curb line on a portion of Roosevelt Boulevard. This action will widen the cartway of Southampton Road and make city plan conforms to the existing curb line conditions at certain locations. Widening the cartway on Southampton Road is needed to accommodate the large-scale industrial development, the Rockefeller Group Logistic Center at 15,000 East Roosevelt Boulevard. The project includes 2 logistic buildings for a total of over 650,000 square feet, surrounded by parking lots and landscape areas. The City Planning Commission is scheduled to consider this bill 241061 at its meeting on December 5th, 2024, with a staff recommendation for approval. I'll be happy to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you. Are there any questions of these witnesses on this bill? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Is there any other folks in the chambers today wishing to testify on this bill number 241061? Seeing none, thank you. Mr. Pullen, would you please read the title of the next bill?
Bill number 241063, titled amending Title 12 of the Philadelphia Code entitled Traffic Code to create smart loading zones and a camera-based enforcement system for designated parking violations, revise the procedures for identifying and handling stolen vehicles prior to towing, amend the parking regulations subject to towing, and make related technical changes, all under certain terms and conditions.
Thank you. Mr. Pullen, would you please call the next witnesses to testify on this bill?
The next witness to testify is Rich Laser, Executive Director of the Philadelphia Parking Authority.
Good morning, Mr. Laser. Please state your name for the record and begin with your testimony.
Good morning. My name is Richard Laser. I'm Executive Director of the Philadelphia Parking Authority. I'm also joined up here with Karina O'Connor, Deputy Executive Director of the Philadelphia Parking Authority. I'd like to thank the Chair and members of the Committee on Streets and Services for allowing me to testify today. I'd also like to thank Councilman Mark Squilla for introducing this legislation. I'm here to testify in favor of Bill 241063, which addresses several new initiatives the Authority wishes to implement. The first being automated enforcement of specific loading zones installed within the City of Philadelphia. Currently, there are several different types of loading zones which restrict several members of the driving public. The Authority wishes to install general use loading zones at these locations in the bill with a camera-based enforcement system. The system will allow a vehicle to enter the loading zone, register their vehicle, and will be charged the amount of time that the vehicle stays in the zone without the option of use past 1 hour. This will allow and ensure turnover for more spaces to be available to the general driving public when in need of making a delivery or a short-term drop-off or pickup of a vehicle's passenger. We believe by installing this camera-based technology, the congestion will decrease, making the public's commute when navigating the streets of Philadelphia much easier. In addition to a camera-based loading zones, the Authority wishes to equip several of our ticketing vehicles with license plate recognition systems to patrol over 3,000 blocks of residential permit parking blocks currently installed in Philadelphia. We currently have 2 vehicles equipped with these devices, and we're able to cover more zones by having this equipment, but are slowed down by having to exit the vehicle when issuing a violation for those violations without permits that have gone over the posted time limit. By allowing a ticket by mail system, the officer can cover twice the amount of geography in the same amount of time. We believe by increasing our areas of coverage, this will address the many concerns we hear from citizens in these neighborhoods when they have requested residential parking permit to be installed in their neighborhood, which would be that the blocks are patrolled effectively and at the level that they expect. Thirdly, the amendment to the tow code would allow the impoundment staff to run each vehicle towed for stolen once it arrives at one of the impoundment lots. If a vehicle is found to be stolen prior to the tow, the police will be notified and a recovery report will be completed by the officer, allowing proper notification to the owner of the vehicle. Once a vehicle has been found stolen, the owner of the vehicle will not be held responsible for towing and storage fees. I want to thank you for the opportunity to testify in front of the committee, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Laser. I just have one comment. I just want to, thank you for your work on this because my office have, gotten calls about what to do after their vehicle has been stolen and fees that have been racked up, from the Parking Authority. So I want to thank you for taking the initiative on this to making sure that our constituents and our communities, aren't penalized twice after having their vehicle stolen. So thank you for this measure. Are there any questions of these witnesses by members of the committee? Seeing none, thank you for your time and your testimony today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any others in the chambers wishing to testify on bill number 241063? Seeing none, thank you. We will now transition into our public comment session. Mr. Pullen, would you please call the first speaker for public comment?
There are no speakers on public comment, Chairman.
Thank you. I would like to thank all the witnesses for joining us today. We will now end the public hearing and go into the public meeting. I note for the record that a quorum of the committee is present. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on the amendment to bill number 241063.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I offer amendment to Bill number 241063. A copy of the amendment has been circulated to all members of the committee. I move that the amendment to Bill number 241063 be adopted.
Is there a second?
Oh, second, I'm sorry.
Thank you. It is moved and properly seconded that the amendment to Bill number 241063 be adopted. All those in favor for the motion will signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, ayes have it. The chair recognizes Councilmember Squilla for a motion on bills numbers 241061 and 241063 as amended.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the bills number 241061 and 241063 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and further move that the rules of council be suspended and submit the first reading of this bill to the next session of council.
Second.
Thank you. It has been moved and properly seconded that bill numbers 241061 and 241063 as amended be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation, and I further move that the rules of council be suspended to permit first reading of these bills at the next session of council. All those in favor of the motion will signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, ayes have it. Bills number 241061 and 241063 as amended will be reported from this committee with a favorable recommendation with a request that the rules of council be suspended to permit the first reading at the next session of council. Are there any members who have any final remarks of this committee? Seeing none, this concludes the business before the Committee of Streets and Services today. Thank you very much for your attendance.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Jay.